Good afternoon, my name is Devron Johnson and I'm a student at Southern Utah University and am completing this assignment for our ethics class. And in this I will be presenting on giving voice to values for the tax return case from Mintz and Morris's book, Ethical Obligations and Decision Making in Accounting. To give a brief overview of the tax return, there are three people. There is Betty, Vincent, and Mr. Kahn. Betty is a tax preparer and has prepared this return and submitted it to Vincent, who is her tax manager. And it was a tax return for Mr. Kahn, who is a owner of a large company. One day, Mr. Vincent asked Betty to come into his office and asked her why she had included gambling winnings in revenue. She responded that gambling winnings should be included because by law we include that as revenue, but Mr. Kahn could use his gambling losses to offset that. Mr. Vincent went on to explain that yes, that's correct, but Mr. Kahn is going to use the standard deduction. Thereby, he alluded that they did not need to include the gambling winnings in revenue. Now, Betty thought this was not allowed, and at the end of their meeting they mentioned, or Mr. Vincent said, "I want you to go back to your office and think carefully about the situation. Consider this a one-time situation, and we value our staff members who are willing to be flexible in such situations. And I'll tell you, other staff in the same situation have been loyal to the firm. Let's meet up again in my office tomorrow at 9 a.m. So in this situation, Betty finds herself in a tough situation. So the first question in analyzing this case, we want to use Kohlberg's 6 stages of moral development to analyze her decisions, and the fact that it said this is a one-time thing, should that make a difference, and why? And in using the 6 stages of moral development, the first stage is obedience to rules and avoidance of punishment. Either she obeys the rules for her own benefit or avoids the rules just because it'd be to her benefit and to the company's benefit. The second stage is satisfying one's own needs. So is she going to not include the revenue because she wants to keep her job? We'll see. The third stage is fairness to others. Brenda may decide not to count gambling winnings as revenue due to the pressure that has been put on her by Mr. Vincent. And so he's just saying, for the good of the company, don't do it, and it'd be fair not to. The fourth stage is law and order. The law says that you include gambling winnings in the tax return, so she includes gambling winnings as revenue. The fifth stage is social contract. Brenda would look at the benefits and the costs to everyone and see how they would affect them, and then make a decision. And the sixth stage is universal ethical principles. Brenda would ask herself, what would I want others to do if they were in my situation? After analyzing Brenda's options, the fact that Mr. Vincent said that this was a one-time thing shouldn't affect her decision. No matter what, it's an unethical decision. It is a right versus wrong. Question 2 has us assume that we've made up our minds and that we are going to now we're just trying to figure out how we should respond. And so on this next slide, we're going to talk about the counter to his arguments and what are the most powerful responses. So, as I said, in question 2, we talked about some of the arguments they would have. So he had isolated incident where this is a one-time thing. He had expected practice where he said everyone does this, it's okay. And then he had locus of loyalty, which we need someone loyal to the company. And so responses could be, well, our company has a reputation of honesty, and that's what sets us apart from others. I can't do this. Or this is a right versus wrong situation, and so this is just unethical and I can't move forward. Or thirdly, loyalty is in the company and to the employees and customers is what I value most, and so I can't go ahead with this decision. The third and final question has us assume that we went ahead and followed what Mr. Vincent said, and the next year he asked us to do the same thing again. And so would we end up making the same choice? And I would say yes, we would do the same thing because it's a slippery slope. Just like Betty Vincent at WorldCom, it would be a lot harder to say no after saying yes the year before. This fact helps emphasize the importance of making correct ethical decisions.